This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Good morning. Welcome to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. As part of Circle City Broadcasting's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, this show and all of our contributors talk directly to entrepreneurs to help educate and inform, to help you develop the skills you need to turn a great idea into a successful small business. Here, the information comes straight from those who know the path, businessmen, businesswomen, community leaders who've each been through the process and know the roads to take and the potholes to avoid along the way. They have a vested interest in the community, if you will. By sharing their wisdom, they hope to grow the local business community, make it stronger. We strive to provide information focused on diversity, equity, and opportunities. Each show, we share 7 segments. They're designed to help you clear some of the hurdles you'll face when you start and run a small business. You can watch us right here each week or catch the live stream on wishtv.com. You can also access all of our content that we've ever done and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. Coming up on today's Business, Equity, and Opportunities, we find out a nationwide diverse supplier grant initiative, what it is, how it makes it easier for minority businesses to access capital. We focus on manufacturing industry in Indiana, spotlighting a recent innovation conference that brought together manufacturing entrepreneurs and global industry leaders. And find out if using a third-party payroll provider can help your business. We get started today with the situation many people faced during the pandemic. Your employer has eliminated your position. Maybe you're approaching retirement age. What do? For some, it might be the moment to finally start your business.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Pete Saetre is an Emmy Award-winning video editor. After more than 16 years on the job, he was told his position was being eliminated. It was then he made the decision to set up his own shop.
Actually, it had started probably 6 months prior to that announcement. I had explored finding what equipment would cost, because the insecurity of all jobs, you just got to have a backup plan. So I was going to create my own backup plan, and luckily I'd already had those wheels in progress and in motion when that news came down. So it was a fast forward, and then I needed to get a business started. I needed to get an LLC, limited liability corporation. There was a whole lot of stuff that it covers you with, and a whole lot of stuff that you have to keep track of. But in the long run, it's probably the better way of doing it than just going off on your own. It offers you protection in places. It puts, if there is any problems, it puts it on the LLC and not your own person. My parents made a little investment in it. I had some funds out of savings, and that was probably the initial $12,000 or $14,000 startup. And then along the way, there's been additional things to buy, some racks and monitors, little things that, $200-300 here, $200-300 there. It's computers, it's mice, it's furniture, it's chairs, it's all kinds of stuff. So it's somewhere around $20,000. We're about almost a year and a half into this project now, and it seems every day there's some new piece that needs to come. But the bulk of it, took about 3 months because we were in the middle of COVID and there was supply chain issues, and one big piece that I needed didn't even show up until February this year. So, but I got the majority of it by early August of 2021, and that was about 2 months after leaving my previous employer. As computers get so antiquated, you kind of need to get on that treadmill early before it falls off 3 years from now. So 3 years from now, I'll need a new computer because everything, software, and will be faster and will be different. So, who is Ted Green? Ted came, and I met him about 2010. He was working in Indianapolis Star. He was a sports editor, and he came to us with a program called John Wood and the Indiana Story, which Indianapolis Star had produced. They just kind of need some final touches on it. So I did color correction, I did some audio balancing, And then the next project came up that they were going to do was called Naptown to Super City, which is about the history of sports in Indianapolis and how we became a nothing town that was sleepy and closed on Sundays to the dynamic Super Bowl town that we had. And it premiered as the Super Bowl Heroes in Indianapolis 2012. Then we moved on from that to Roger Brown, the very first Indiana Pacer. After that, we did one about Bobby Slick Leonard of the Indiana Pacers, a big sports theme with Ted. So the fourth one we did was the school that opened the city, Crispus Attucks. Kind of a departure. There was still heavy sports in it because of Oscar Robertson in the 1950s and them winning the state championship. So we did Crispus Attucks, and then the turning point for us was in 2018, we did a documentary called Eva, A7063, which is about a Holocaust survivor of Joseph Mengele in Auschwitz. And that got us distribution all around the world. It played in Norway, it played in Israel, it played in Germany. And it currently plays on Amazon Prime. So there's a big thrill to be able to turn on Amazon, hey, there's my stuff. It's kind of fun. When Ted was already an independent film producer. I just was kind of his guy all the way along, and we work well as a team. Ted was already in progress with the Best We've Got, the Carl Erskine story, which just finished up showing at Heartland Film Festival and in other places across the state. Ted had already started some interviews on this, and so although the news was bad, I guess I fell into a really nice blanket that I kind of just carried and dovetailed into that. I know there's hopefully going to be some stuff with Ted down the road. I hope to do more historical stuff. I did some stuff with the Indiana Citizen, voting. Anything that comes my way, I like to do it. Starting my own business was scary. Not knowing what was going to be around the corner. Luckily, I had a project that I could work on. But then again, unless I keep working at it, I could be sitting here in a room with $20,000 worth of gear that is not doing anything. But it's scary to be out there thinking that, what am I going to do next? Especially when you're 60 years old. A leap of faith has got to be done with a touch of confidence. My wife and I have had this conversation. I felt for a long time that I was not that adequate at doing what I did. And then I end up looking at what I do and, wow, yeah, there's some decent stuff here. Luckily, I've been given Emmy Awards, and I guess that's validation. But it's when I look at sometimes the finished product, it's like, doggone it, that's pretty good stuff. Oh, a pen and pixel, making magic out of a bedroom, and that's.
Getting Started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
If you'd like more information about Getting Started or any of our topics today, visit our website. It's BEOshow.com. When we come back, we talk to the architect and program director of a new initiative that aims to lower the financial barriers for diverse-owned businesses. And remember, if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our efforts, please email us at beo@wishtv.com. We would like to hear from you. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities, and we'll be right back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Time to talk accessing capital. JP Morgan Chase has a new initiative called Diverse Supplier Grants, designed to break down barriers that many minority businesses experience in the quest to find success. Doug Rodgenson is the architect, if you will, and program director of the grant initiative. We connected with him on the job to find out the opportunities those grants offer.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. The Diverse Supplier Grant Initiative is a nationwide growth capital program that is intended to help lower financial barriers for diverse-owned businesses that are vying for corporate procurement contracts from companies like JP Chase and from the Fortune 500. Now, the bank has partnered with a nationwide community development financial institution called Local Initiative Support Corporation, that's LISC. And the bank has issued a $5 million grant to help stand up the program and have LISC in turn issue these growth capital investments to minority-owned businesses that qualify for the program. Now, the program's overarching goal is really to deliver a unified solution that helps increase the qualified supply base of minority-owned businesses, not only at JP Chase, but for the industry at large. Now, what's unique about this program is that we're also encouraging other corporations to participate with us. For every donation and pledge that's made by another corporation, the bank will match that donation dollar for dollar, and in turn, helping create a force multiplier of scale, of reach, and impact creation. This program launched in April. We've garnered over 35 pledges from corporations, roughly $1.5 million and growing, and that's really created what is roughly a $6.5 million pool of financial resources available for minority-owned businesses to tap into. And we're proud to report that over 80 minority-owned businesses have reached out to LISC to explore this growth capital initiative. In 2020, the bank made a public pledge to increase its procurement spending with Black and Hispanic-owned businesses by $750 million over 5 years. And that also means increasing the qualified supply base of diverse-owned businesses. So the bank's already part of the $1 billion roundtable. We procure goods and services, over $2 billion in goods and services from diverse-owned businesses today, and that's on a direct and indirect basis. But really, we wanted to be intentional in our next round of procurement spending, focused on growth, especially in historically underrepresented areas and communities. And so from a business development standpoint, meeting a corporation's corporate compliance requirements could cost a small business, and especially a diverse-owned business, several $100,000 just to meet our minimum standards. And so as we began business developing these new third-party relationships, oftentimes we would invite them to bid, and they were later getting rejected for not being able to meet our corporate compliance requirements. Things like cybersecurity, things like insurance, corporate insurance, and or performance bonding. And so we felt this directly. We've also felt this indirectly through our key supply chain relationships. We have a cohort of preferred suppliers called our gold suppliers. Think of them as sort of our top 100 supply chain partners. And so as DE&I continue to play a material role in JPMC's culture and strategy, we also strive to have our key supply chain partners aspire to a similar level of standards and commitments, hence our interest in their diversity supply chain spending. So as we challenge our gold suppliers to increase their procurement spending with minority-owned businesses, some of them faced a similar challenge, which is really getting into contract with corporate-ready diverse-owned businesses. So it felt like we had an industry challenge on our hands. And with access to capital as the number one barrier for diverse-owned businesses, some minority-owned businesses are just reluctant to make that investment without a guaranteed purchase order. And the other side of that coin really is large corporations oftentimes won't consider a third party unless they have a clean bill of health. It's kind of chicken and egg. So it was natural for JP Chase to take a lead role to help create an industry solution to help lower financial barriers and help position emerging minority-owned businesses to more effectively compete and earn contracts from JP Chase and the industry at large.
Doug also shared with us why JP Chase supports this program in particular and how people can find out more as it moves forward.
I'll say this program is becoming an alternative funding solution to, I'll say, the traditional debt or equity program. So the program offers non-securitized, non-collateralized investments ranging between $25,000 and $200,000, which is issued through LISC. Now look, there's no such thing as risk-free financing, but this model delivers a financial solution that's really performance-based, meaning companies that receive the growth capital through LISC and they're successful in their growth endeavors, they will be asked to repay it forward back into the original grant pool for the next round of eligible businesses to tap into the program. Now, those that do all the right things, but they don't grow, they don't earn new contracts, they can request loan forgiveness. And so, the bank has a 5-year vision for this program. We really hope that this repay it forward concept helps deliver a sustainable solution that goes well beyond the 5 years and becomes a recipe to help support the growing needs and demands for small business and especially minority-owned businesses now and in the future. And then I'll say one last thing to underscore the impact of this program. One of the key goals, again, was to implement a unified solution that other corporations can join, that they can participate in, and really jointly increase the qualified supply base for the industry at large. And lastly, but most important, help deliver a solution that drives inclusive capitalism for all. You can visit the JP Morgan site, search for Diverse Supplier Grant Initiative sponsored by JP Morgan Chase, or through LISC's public website focused on growth capital investments. Thank you so much for having us, and we're really excited, and we hope that your audience and your viewership learns more about the program, and hopefully this helps bring some awareness to the great things that JP Morgan Chase, as well as the industry, is trying to do to help deliver inclusive capitalism.
The program lines up closely with the goals of this show, so we'll share all the information about it on our website and then follow its progress as it aims to change lives.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This week in business, in an effort to prepare today's young people to become tomorrow's workforce, educators and private businesses are coming together to create an atmosphere full of learning opportunities. It's happening today, just south of Indianapolis in Greenwood.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This week in business.
Dr. Georg H. Endress is founder of Endress+Hauser, a global technology company. More than 50 years ago, he knew the importance of growing and educating young talent. His legacy continues on. Recently, Endress+Hauser partnered with STEM Education Works and Purdue's Indiana Next Generation Manufacturing Competitiveness Center to create their newest design and innovation studio at the Greenwood campus.
This space right here is called the Innovation Studio. So this is a brand new area that we just opened up in September. It's on our campus here at Endress+Hauser in Greenwood, Indiana. This is our North American headquarters, and we have several plants here operating, producing our products and manufacturing our instrumentation that we sell to the market. Well, we've been doing things like this for the community for several years, and this just really fit into our whole culture, our things we want to do to help out and bring young kids into the whole STEM education world and introduce them to the type of jobs that might be here for them someday and start to fill the talent pipeline. That's really what the bottom line is for us, but also to help in general those kids going through STEM programs and someday ending up in very good paying jobs. We've opened this up to all of the local schools, so K through 8, and we have some high school programs as well that we can conduct, but every school in Johnson County and Southern Marion County. So this offers something they don't have at the schools. We've got equipment here that a lot of them really can't afford to purchase and have in their labs. So by us having this here, this is a resource, and our doors are open for them to bring the kids here anytime. In-MaC at Purdue, which has been around, I understand, around 10 years, and they provide grants. So that's how we were actually able to get all this equipment. And I don't think we would have normally purchased that out of our own pocket, but because it became available, we jumped on the opportunity and took the chance, and they awarded us one of those grants. We understand there were 3 others in the state so far at manufacturing locations with Honda, Subaru, and Toyota. So we were the first non-automotive location to get this studio.
So Purdue University is in partnership with industry across the state of Indiana with over 6,000 plus industry OEMs, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3s. And we're really focused on workforce skills, especially in regards to early access to technology that would represent Industry 4.0 technology. So we picked Endress+Hauser because of their location in regards to being in rural Indiana, but also in regards to their global impact that they have and the workforce and education partnerships they have, not only in this region, but across the state of Indiana. There's a need, we have a workforce shortage, especially within manufacturing, and so those skill sets, we are looking at starting earlier, and so activities such as this focused around Industry 4.0, early access is the key. And so in partnership with Endress+Hauser, we also partner with early education, early elementary schools such as Indian Creek Intermediate School. And the idea is that we provide early access to everyone. And the goal is that they have stackable knowledge. And so they have this, and then they also can go to their studio located at their school, and they have early learning entry education points.
So our company, STEM Education Works, helps provide all the equipment and the curriculum for these in-MaC design and innovation studios. So our partnership with in-MaC helps get kids and teachers in the community involved in programs like this or at their own schools, that they can come in, and this might be their first exposure to STEM. So they get to use problem-solving skills and critical thinking, hands-on projects. There's over 25 now, and there's more to come, and we're looking to expand even outside of Indiana as well. We were founded in 2018 under our parent company's SDI Innovations, so we're just hitting the ground running here with getting these studios up and running.
So the way it's going to make a difference is that we look to have students that are going into career pathways such as ag or manufacturing, engineering, technology, and before going into 8th grade, they already have access, experience, exposure to these types of technologies, these types of curriculum and education. And so they're making a more informed decision versus going into high school and maybe wanting to change career pathways because it wasn't exactly what they were looking for, or even at the college level.
We already started some youth programs several years ago, and we're seeing the result of it today. Those kids that came in here when they were like in middle school, they went through high school with a STEM focus, they went on to engineering schools, and now we're hiring them. They're coming in here as full-time employees. So we're helping, like I said, to fill that talent pipeline.
We have students that are coming in, and when they're going to industry, they're correlating the fact that, oh, this skill set is something that I can do in this industry. And so there's a lot of careers within industry, not just engineering, and why it is a great component to the workforce. There's a lot of other career pathways within industry. And so I think around that, and exposing the awareness of that is really, for me, is exciting when I see people making the connection.
If you're looking to find business events or webinars that might be of interest to you, to go to our website, check out the calendar of local business events. If you have a business or community event that you'd like to share, you'll find a way you can add to our growing list.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Shea is the Chief Financial Officer in charge of our business here at Circle City Broadcasting and Business Equity and Opportunities. So he minds our money well, so he might have some good thoughts on how you can mind yours as well. Thanks for being with us. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll turn to you often throughout the course of this show in the future. Big step for businesses, of course, is hiring employees. That's a huge moment, a momentous time for most small businesses that get to that point. That does, though, mean paying them, of course, which is new to a small business owner. In terms of the overall financial responsibilities, and there are a lot that we've talked about and will in the future, how big of a job is payroll?
That's a great question, Scott. Really, payroll is at the crux of your entire expense model. And let's face it, employees, a big part of the reason that they are coming to work for you is the expectation that they get paid for their work, right? And so it is paramount that business owners have that part of their business locked down. If anything, just to appear professional, like you are of an ongoing, business outfit that is professional and ready to take on the tasks of running a business.
So to that end, and we've talked about this before, and it's a point that we will visit again too. There's a pride in owning a small business, bringing it to market yourself. There are, though, clearly some points where it's worthwhile to have somebody help you along the way. Does payroll tend to be one of those things that you'd say you really ought to consider outsourcing this?
100%. And, as we talked before, we talked about whether you may want to dish off those responsibilities to perhaps a bookkeeper, right? A third-party bookkeeper who may be helping you on your accounting end. Another consideration, though, is whether to use a third-party vendor, a third-party payroll processor that, basically all they do is process payroll. And maybe you want to put that very important aspect of your business into the hands of somebody who does that 24/7.
And those companies too, these payroll companies, you may just think about them as the paycheck. They provide, whatever that step is that gets the employees the dollars that they've earned. They do, a lot of them have a lot more capabilities than that. You can turn to them for more things?
No question. And there's an entire spectrum of payroll processors that can suit really the needs of any business owner, whether they are a small, fledgling business or a bigger company. As you grow, your needs in that department may change. For instance, payroll providers, in addition to keeping track and making sure payroll comes off correctly, they can do time card tracking. They can keep track of, basically be a quasi HR department for you, right? They can keep track of your vacation and your PTO hours. If you are, in a business like a construction where you keep track of time that is put on specific jobs, those payroll providers can really assist in that manner, in that fashion. And so, depending on your needs, there is a payroll provider out there who can do more than just the quote unquote blocking and tackling of cutting payroll checks for you.
And if you lock into the right one, maybe grow along with you as your needs expand, their ability to serve you might as well. Ty, this idea of outsourcing is one that I think is useful, and in a future conversation, let's maybe go through some of the individual areas where you're like, yep, maybe you can handle that one, yeah, that one as well. Ty, Shea, great resource. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Still to come, things you'll need to consider to make sure you're providing an inclusive work environment. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more business, equity, and opportunities.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. We talk a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion in this show, and it's a big topic in most business circles. But how can you, as a small business owner, make certain that you're creating an inclusive workspace for all your employees as you run your business day to day?
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
Shelley Snyder is Executive Director for Indie Pride. She shares her insights on how you can ensure your work environment is a safe and inclusive space for all of your employees.
There are lots of things employers could consider when they want to provide an inclusive workspace for people. It's not enough just to hire someone that is diverse. You have to create an environment where they want to be so that they stay. You don't want that person that you spent all this time and energy hiring to leave after 6 months because they don't feel welcome or valued. So it's important to pay attention to lots of things. So there are things like visual cues, are people allowed to put out photos of themselves and their partner on their desk in the workplace? And how is that treated? I once experienced a coworker coming into my office, and my wife and I had gotten married, and we had a photo of the wedding on my desk with, her and I in these big poofy white dresses with our attendants to either side of us. And this coworker of mine came in my office, saw this photo, and asked me if I had had a double wedding, because it was more likely in their brain that I had, in the year like 2017, that I had had a double wedding rather than the fact that I had married a woman. So, cues like that are important to pay attention to. So do people feel comfortable sharing information about their weekends? When you come in on Monday morning and the receptionist asks you, how was your weekend? When you're LGBTQ+, sometimes you don't want to answer that because you're afraid that the people will judge you for your, reactions to what you did over the weekend. So those are a couple of things they could do. Offering employee resource groups is a really powerful tool. So employee resource groups are when people who are similar are allowed to gather and work on projects together. So this could be as small as, a picnic once a year that they organize, or it could be as big as monthly meetings where they're bringing in guest speakers and taking trips to conferences. So when you offer those opportunities, it goes a long way to showing that you are an inclusive employer. Offering these training programs for DEI issues, on a voluntary basis is always a good thing to do. When you require employees to attend these, sometimes it affects them negatively. It makes them feel like they are being forced to conform to something that they don't believe in. That's one way. So training is a good way to do that. Also offering a clear path for reporting grievances. So sometimes it's comforting to the person who was affected by workplace discrimination to have a conversation with an HR professional or with their manager, but sometimes it's not. So sometimes the manager is the problem. So offering confidential ways to report those biases and incidents is important. And then following through on those reports. So there needs to be a thorough investigation of what happened from all sides of the story, and then actions need to be taken to correct those behaviors. So those are a couple different ways. And then, anytime that leadership can just, publicly say that they support a diverse workforce and then talk about the reasons why. It makes for better products. It makes for better work environments. You don't want to work with a whole bunch of people that are exactly like you, because then you're just getting the same ideas over and over again. It's also important to make sure and hire diverse candidates. So you can't be what you can't see. If people are not feeling like they are being promoted, or that they are being included in projects, or that they are welcome in those environments, then they're going to leave those environments. And then all that time you spent recruiting those diverse candidates is just kind of out the window. According to lots of sources, but one of my favorites is the Harvard Business Review, that companies who embrace diversity are 35% more likely to have higher profits. So not only is it the right thing to do to be nice and kind to people who are different than you, it's good for your bottom line. It helps you with the motivating employees so that they don't call in sick, making sure that products and ideas are stronger because you have diverse voices at that table. Like I said earlier, when people are all the same and come from the same backgrounds, you're going to get the same ideas over and over again. When you put people around that table who are different from each other, they're going to listen to each other differently, and they're going to process information differently. And so you'll come up with stronger, better products. When employers and companies get involved in their community, it also benefits them, not just their bottom line. We have seen, hundreds and hundreds of employers come and participate in our activities like the Indy Pride Parade and Festival and our recent career fair. And the highest number of employers we ever had at our career fair was 35 until this year. And we had 100 employers at our career fair this year. So it just shows that, a lot of organizations are open to hiring diverse candidates, and they recognize that it's good for their bottom line and it's good for employee morale. So, when employees know that they are a valued and welcomed part part of the machine of that employer, it's always a good thing because they're going to, produce higher rates of productivity, and they're not going to call in sick, and they're going to, commune with their coworkers, which makes them want to stay there. So, getting involved with organizations like Indy Pride, the Damien Center, Trinity Haven, Indiana Youth Group, those just show that the employer is open to diversity in their workforce and will make employees who are diverse feel better about their work life.
If you'd like more information about diversity, equity, and inclusion in your workplace as you run your business day to day, visit our website, beoshow.com. Up next, our industry focus this week, looking at the manufacturing business in Indiana and how small businesses can compete in it. That's coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunities. Stay with us.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back. Each week on Business Equity and Opportunities, we focus on a specific industry. This week we highlight the manufacturing industry and Indiana's role in it, and how innovative manufacturing entrepreneurs are connecting both globally and locally to find success.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
On-Ramp Manufacturing is an annual conference that focuses on connecting innovative manufacturing entrepreneurs with global industry leaders and investment opportunities. Hosted by Generator and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation earlier this year, it was a great success. Chelsea Linder, a partner with Generator, and David Watkins, Vice President of Small Business for IEDC, share their thoughts on this and how Indiana is leading the nation in manufacturing job growth.
Every year, we're happy to host the On-Ramp Manufacturing Conference in Indianapolis. This is, I believe, the third or fourth year that we've had it here. And so being able to bring everybody in, particularly those who are out-of-state investors or entrepreneurs, show them what Indiana has to offer, shine a bright light on our manufacturing sector and the strength in the manufacturing industry in Indiana. Always a great opportunity for us to do that through the On-Ramp Manufacturing Conference.
Generator has a platform where we help communities invest in their own community by supporting startups, entrepreneurs, and other people, such as people who are looking for new careers. So one of the things we do is we have conferences where we bring together startups, entrepreneurs, corporations, and investors all within one industry with the goal of helping to create organic connections and allow more innovation and collaboration across those groups. So we recently hosted our manufacturing conference here in Indianapolis alongside the IEDC. We had it at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and it was exciting to see how beautiful the stadium looks now, and to be able to highlight another great part of Indiana's history at the conference.
The IEDC has partnered with Generator in particular for several years now, originally to help run and facilitate accelerators across the state, most recently running those accelerators in the areas of 5G, automation, the future of mobility, and to shine that light on our industry sector of manufacturing here in the state of Indiana, and particularly the startup opportunities, the opportunities for entrepreneurship and innovation in those areas. So this is part of a broader strategy of making sure that our current strength in manufacturing continues to be a strength for the state for decades to come. And certainly the partnership with Generator and this conference in particular are all part of that broader strategy. Indiana leads the nation in terms of the percentage of our GDP that comes from the manufacturing industry. And manufacturing has been and will continue to be a leading economic strength for the state of Indiana. We're obviously focused on helping manufacturers of all sizes. A majority of our manufacturers are small businesses. And the issues and areas of programming for manufacturers vary. It can be digital transformation, it can be new equipment, automation, AI, international trade and exporting is huge for our manufacturing sector. Indiana is a leader in the nation in exporting, and a lot of that comes from our manufacturing industry. So ensuring that the manufacturers across the state continue to be able to grow and thrive, find new markets for their products, access capital to buy new equipment, all are part of the strategy that the IEDC pursues to support our manufacturers.
I think that as an entrepreneur, especially early on with a startup that you're working on, having access to connections to those major players in the industry is really important and valuable, whether it's potential customers or investors or just people who can be mentors and give you best practices. Having that opportunity is really the fastest way to bring your startup forward. And so we're so excited to be able to provide that opportunity.
We think of famous names like Cummins, Eli Lilly, even Allison Transmission, and thinking what we can do as the state to create or help entrepreneurs create the Eli Lillys of the future, who will be the Cummins in 100 years. We're starting the process of seeding that ecosystem today. And the companies that start up today, the companies that pitch at a generator on-ramp conference, those are the companies that, hopefully 100 years from now will be the names that people are talking about as being important to Indiana's economy and certainly major players in the community and the business community. Manufacturers are looking for partnerships and collaborations here in the state and then broader in the country as a strategy for dealing with any type of supply chain challenges that they might be having. And certainly when we have a supplier and a manufacturer getting their supplied products from Indiana, it's just strengthening the entire ecosystem. That ecosystem is then beyond just what that one manufacturer makes. It's also their entire supply chain and their partnerships, their customers, their suppliers that obviously have a significant economic impact on the state. The best advice I have is get connected to the ecosystem. There's no wrong door. There's a lot of side doors. And if you come in and you start working with Generator or take advantage of one of the G-Beta accelerator programs that we have here in Indiana, or whether you come in and get started with the SBDC or Elevate Ventures or any other of our ecosystem partners, that connection wheel starts turning, and it doesn't stop until, hopefully we have success as an entrepreneur or a startup.
If you want more information on manufacturing opportunities and connect with Generator and the IEDC, go to our website. It's beoshow.com. Coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunities, another success story. So stay with us.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Antron Brown is Top Fuel Drag Racing's first African-American champion. Hard charger whose home base is Pittsboro, Indiana. He's won 3 world titles and is always steering for a 4th. He runs his own team, AB Motorsports. Lifestyle Live host George Mallet spoke with him in Brownsburg in a garage earlier this year, and it's today's success story.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Steve Torrance was a day late, and he's going to be $1 short. It's Antron Brown on a hole shot. 3.759 seconds, 315 miles an hour.
Pittsboro, Indiana's Antron Brown is the class of NHRA racing. The 3-time Top Fuel champion has long driven for Don Schumacher Racing, but has now launched his own racing team. AB Motorsports boasts a murderer's row of top sponsors, including Lucas Oil and Matco Tools.
For me, this is definitely a big dream come true for my family and everybody there, and it gives us a chance to give back. So when we see these young people coming up where they have the same drive and passion that I currently still have, and you can see it in them, but they don't know what path to take. Where we can open the door up and say, hey, come here. And we can bring them along the way and give them the necessary means they need to be successful in the sport of motorsports and NHRA drag racing.
What became immediately clear when we visited Brown in his Brownsburg garage is that he takes the notion of giving back seriously. As February, Black History Month, got underway, I asked him about the importance of being a role model. It's a position the 45-year-old driver not only accepts, but embraces.
They'll be able to see somebody like me that's African American and say, hey, AB's doing it, Antron Brown's doing it, I can do it.
He'd like young people of all races to understand they have competitive options beyond the stick and ball sports that dominate American culture.
And I see tons of people that's in the inner city that can whip and drive cars, like last year. So that's the coolest part about it is just show them the opportunities out there and giving them the roadmap to get there.
Ask anyone who knows Brown what his strengths are, and they'll talk about the hard-charging driver's work ethic. Meet him, though, and you will realize you are talking to a man who not only works hard, but is entirely relentless.
Everybody wants something in life, but they're not willing to go out and get it. And that's the hardest part for me to teach to all the younger generation today and say, hey, you gotta wake up every day's an opportunity. Every day you have an opportunity to be better, to improve yourself or get one more step closer to where you wanna go. And that's how I wake up every day to this morning. Like, I am a professional race car driver, okay? But before I raced a pro stock motorcycle. Never knew I could race a top fuel car, the elite of NHRA drag racing. Then I became a race car driver. Then I won 3 world championships. Like 3rd on all-time win list in NHRA in top fuel. But then I said, well, what's that? Why am I stopping there? I made it here, what's next?
And that was the thinking that led to the creation of AB Motorsports, a well-planned out racing team with the resources, personnel, and molten dreams to be the best.
My goals for AB Motorsports 5 years down the road would be to literally be able to grow and not be a 1-car team, but a 2-car team. Maybe a funny car, a top fuel team, maybe even have a pro mod team and have various different classes, and also being able to help other teams grow.
Our thanks to all the contributors who shared their wisdom today. We hope their stories inspire you. You can find out more information about today's show on BEOshow.com. There we have all 7 of the segments from all of our shows designed to speak to business startups, those already operating a small business, and those of you who are looking to jumpstart a career already in progress. We always include tips on getting started, how to access your capital, running your business day to day, and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. Also, we always share a success story from one of our contributors to inspire you as you move on in your journey. Hope you'll join us again next Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, always here on wishtv.com. And we have more information about small business and the goals of equity, diversity, and opportunities here and on our website. You can stream the show live on wishtv.com and find content from all of the shows that we've done since we started all of this and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. For even more, we encourage you to listen and subscribe to our BE&O podcast. It is part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. And sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter if you've not done that already to get more valuable, up-to-date information, and we are updating it all the time. If you have questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please reach out to us. Email's probably the easiest. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if your business or organization has some upcoming events you'd like us to feature, send us the information. We'll see what we can do about getting it on the air and sharing it with everybody. For the best results, get it to us at least 3 weeks ahead of time. For now, I'm Scott Sander. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities is made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.